Hey guys, long time no see. Sorry it's been a while. I swear I have an explanation. There's a video coming soon. But instead of getting into that right now, we're just going to get into some true crime because I feel like I owe that to you. Sorry. So last video we talked about Jodi Arias and the murder of Travis Alexander. This week we are going to be talking about the murder of Elyse Pahler. Now, if you don't know who Elyse Pahler is, that's okay. There's not that much information about her out in the world, but it's a very interesting story. So interesting, in fact, that they made a movie based on this murder, but of course they exaggerated a lot of the details and everything. So we're just gonna get into the true crime of it all. And if you're wondering what that movie was, it happened to be Jennifer's Body, starring Megan Fox. Now, as you see, I'm barefaced and my hair is up and freshly showered, so we're gonna glamify ourselves while talking about some gruesome stuff. Which brings me to my next thing. Warning, graphic details of murder and rape are discussed in this video. Viewer discretion is advised. So, Elyse Marie Pahler, who is she? She was born April 24th of 1980 in California. She was described as a happy-go-lucky 15-year-old girl. She participated in sports, theater, church choir, but she also had that rebellious teenage nature and liked to sneak out to meet up with boys in the middle of the night. Her parents, which I didn't find too much information about her parents, but they ended up sending her to a recovery center in California where she would meet Jacob DeLashmutt. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. We're just gonna call him Jacob to save the embarrassment of me not knowing how to pronounce names. So Jacob was a 16-year-old classmate of Elyse's. He grew up in a Mormon household and he had a talent for art. So he was also known to use amphetamines. And there was rumors, not really rumors, but there was talk going around the school that him and his friends were into devil worship. He had two main best friends. One is Royce Casey, and the other one is Joseph Fiorella. We're calling them Royce and Joe. These two boys were also troubled teenagers. They were known to use drugs and to be considered social outcasts. And with all the devil-worshipping rumors, there was also talk that they were planning on attempting to abduct a young virgin for sacrifice. So Joseph and Jacob would actually create entire fantasies of different rituals and sacrifices to tell their fellow devil worshippers on the internet. And as their obsession grew, so did their perception on reality. It was really becoming the only world that they knew. So Royce's family, they noticed that he was becoming more and more depressed and locking himself in his room. And he would spend those days in his room writing from cover to cover on notebooks, describing where he was fighting on the other side now, where Satan will arise, conquer, and reign. He suggested that the boys should build an altar for sacrifice. And he also noted that a virgin would be an ultimate sacrifice. The boys had a heavy metal band at the time, which was called Hatred. They believed if they made the ultimate sacrifice, that they would achieve a level of talent that could make them potentially go professional. On July 22nd of 1995, Elyse Pahler snuck out of the house and planned to meet up with Jacob, Royce, and Joe. The boys then led her into Eucalyptus Grove, where Jacob would take off his belt and wrap it tightly around Elyse's neck. Royce would then hold down her arms and make sure that she couldn't fight back. And then Joe pulled out a hunting knife and he started stabbing her in the neck. Both Jacob and Royce would take turns stabbing her while she was crying out for help. As she was crying out for help, the boys decided that they were going to stomp on her neck to end her life quicker. And it was right after she passed away that the boys would then take turns raping her. They ended up leaving her body there, and they would later return to continue having sex with her corpse. They would go on to brag about this to friends at school. Most of them believed them, but some of them had their speculations. And later, Joe actually went and confessed to his mother. On March 13th, 1996, Royce actually converted to Christianity as his new religion. And that is what brought him to confess to the murder. He stated that he also started to fear for his own life. The other two killers would go on to threaten him and say that Elyse wouldn't be the only one. There would be others. And he felt at the time that they were talking about him. And that statement from the other two boys is what drove him to take the police to where her body was. It would have been 8 long months from the attack before he would take the police to find her decomposing body. Many of their high school classmates were actually not surprised that they were getting arrested for it. A lot of them, even with the rumors or not rumors going around, they speculated what happened, but they were too scared to tell the authorities themselves. Royce would go on to tell the investigators that he, Joe, and Jacob were planning the murder for months before they actually attacked Elyse. They would sit around listening to death metal music and plan out the ultimate sacrifice. Also, Roy confessed, he's been confessing a lot, that they actually attempted to kill Elyse before the attack happened. The boys had asked Elyse to sneak out with them before, and they led her down a steep ravine on the mesa. Royce pretended to fall down into the ravine, and then he tricked Elyse to coming down after him. Joseph then pulled out his hunting knife and threw it down to Royce, and Joseph and Jacob were egging him on, saying, "Do it, do it." But at this time, Royce ended up freezing and didn't end up attacking her. Elyse at the time just thought that the boys were just joking around, and she ended up going out with them again the night that she died. Investigators would ask Royce what was the motive for this horrific killing, and Royce would go on to say, quote, "It was to receive power from the devil to help us play better. It would make us play harder, faster," end quote. So why did they pick Elyse? They picked her because they saw the ultimate sin against God. Killing someone who has blonde hair and blue eyes and was a virgin would make her the ultimate sacrifice for the devil. They were each sentenced to 25 years to life in different prisons facilitated in California. Like with the boys being in prison, you'd think that'd be the justice that Elyse needed, but her parents wanted to take it a step further. So it was said that the driving force for the boys to commit this horrible act was the band Slayer. Elyse's parents would actually try to file a lawsuit against Slayer. They would claim that Slayer's song Postmortem and Dead Skin Mask gave their daughter's murderers basically instruction how to stalk, rape, torture, and commit acts of necrophilia. That case would go on to be dismissed, and the judge would say, quote, "There is not a legal position that can be taken that would make Slayer responsible for that girl's death," end quote. Her parents then filed a second lawsuit, and this time they are saying that Slayer, quote, "knowingly distributing harmful material to minors," end quote. The record label would respond to that saying that they did in fact warn the public and parents of the graphic detail of the album because they have an explicit content warning sticker on the covers. The band's albums actually also contain a violence and sexual language warning as well. Judge Jeffrey Burke would go on to dismiss the case altogether, saying, quote, "I do not consider Slayer's music to be obscene, indecent, or harmful to minors." Paul, the drummer of Slayer, gave an interview with Guitar World magazine, and he stated, quote, They are trying to blame the whole thing on us. If you're gonna do something stupid like that, you should get in trouble for it." End quote. He even continued the argument, saying the killers didn't even follow the necrophilia and sacrifice rituals that the band had detailed in their song. I don't think that's helping. Back to the real people to blame here. After spending a few years in prison, Jacob decided that he was going to stop blaming the band and direct it onto someone else. He would go on to say that yes, the music was destructive, but that's not why Elyse was murdered. Oh no. Jacob stated that Elyse was actually murdered because his friend Joe was obsessed with her and obsessed with killing her. When Joe was up for probation, he would talk about his motives and how the music, quote, gets inside your head. He stated, quote, "Almost embarrassing that I was so influenced by the music. It started to influence the way that I look at things," end quote. With the chance of his parole slowly slipping away, Joe changed his mind again. He said that the music had nothing to do with it, and it was never intended to be a satanic sacrifice. But he never said anything after that, so I guess he just wanted to kill with no other motive other than just to do it. Pretty fucked up. And that, my friends, is the story of Elyse Pahler and the ultimate sacrifice. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Again, I am so sorry for being such a flake. I promise I'll get my shit together one of these days. I love you guys. Be safe. Call your family. Tell them you love them. And while you're doing that, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, that notification bell, and let's take over this world together. All right, guys, that's it for me. Peace.